Hi there, welcome back. So today, as I have promised you, we'll talk about the planet Saturn, or Shani, as he's called in India. In astrology, Saturn is a widely feared planet. Anytime any of my clients hear of Saturn transits, or Sadhi or Shani Dasha, or um, Saturn return, they just promptly jump to the conclusion that things are going to be really hard and struggles ahead of them, right? So and I totally understand that, because Saturn does bring with it some challenges, but the whole idea of this series of videos that I'm doing right now is to debunk the theory that Saturn means any harm, because it's just the way he's trying to teach you those lessons is kind of a strict way. And if you can understand that and the story behind Saturn, then that helps to traverse life a little bit more easily. If it's all connected to the human psyche. So once the perception changes, then the way you look at that time frame also changes. So let's understand this planet a little further. I have broken this down into multiple videos, so that you can reach any section that you want easily. So you can see the name of the video, and from that okay, is this about Saturn return? Is this about psychology? Is this about the mythology? So each video will be talking about a certain part. Like this one specifically, I'll be talking about the mythology, the story behind Saturn. The next one, we'll talk about Saturn return. And the last one will be about the psychology behind what does the story and everything of Saturn and Sun bring back to us in terms of our charts, right? So, like I've said in the past videos, mythology is not just stories. There are always symbolic indications, and I view every story as a metaphor to a deeper meaning, right? So putting these concepts in the form of stories helps us to hand it easily from one generation to the next, and as opposed to hard concepts. So we will first go over the story and then analyze the deeper meaning of what Saturn or Shani stands for. Always remember, astrology and planetary influences are deeply rooted in the human psyche. So once you change your perception, then the way you look at that time frame changes. So that's the whole idea of my YouTube channel, right? So, and this is the reason why understanding deeper as to what that planet stands for and what it intends makes it a million times easier to bring about a positive change in our lives. Okay, so let's get into the story of Shani. It's very interesting. As the story goes, Shani or Saturn was the sun god's son. Okay, sun god is Surya, so his son was Shani. His mother was Chaya, which stands for shadow. Now, Surya, or the sun god's first wife, Sandhya, couldn't handle the blinding brightness of her husband's rays. Now, think about the metaphor behind all of these. Okay, this is as I say, the story. So she created her shadow image called Chaya, who looked exactly like her, okay, and instructed her to act like Surya's wife, while she, as in Sandhya, went away into the forest to perform penance and meditation. Chaya, of course, she was created by Sandhya, so she did so, right? And as years passed by, she bore a son of the sun god, and that son was Shani or Saturn. Now, Shani was born of a dark complexion, just like his mother, Chaya, who's shadow. And also he inherited Chaya's serious and kind of like a somber countenance. Okay. Now Sandhya finds out about this, the birth of the baby, and she's deeply troubled because she learns, she kind of takes it like, Chaya has overstepped the boundaries of Sandhya's instructions, right? Bearing a child, all she asked was for Chaya to, take her place while she goes into the forest, but bearing a child is kind of sidestepping or overstepping that instruction. So Sandhya promptly returns home. She destroys Chaya's body and reduces her to just an illusion of Surya's glare. right? And that is the shadow, right? Chaya in Hindi means shadow. Now, Surya is not aware of the switch, okay? Neither is Shani. Nobody's aware of the switch, right? Now, because they both, Sandhya and Chaya, look the same. So as time passed, Sandhya also bore children by Surya, okay? The most prominent among them was Yama, the god of death, right? Um, so everything went on as usual. She's pretending like she's Surya's wife, but she ill treats Shani because every time she looks at Shani, he reminds her of a mistake that she made by bringing Chaya into this whole story, right? So she ill-treated him, didn't give him the same love she gave Yama. So, and she also kind of turned his father against him by telling him all kinds of bad stuffs about him. So, Shani grew up with no fatherly affection, no motherly love. And it's just, he couldn't understand why this was happening because nobody knew of the switch. So as the children grew up and they came of age, it was time for Surya to give away his responsibilities and kind of give them all some work to do. So when this time comes, Sandhya poisons Surya's mind against Shani's capabilities, and she requests him to divide his main responsibilities between her other kids like Yama and the other and his siblings, right? And she says, don't give Shani anything, right? Because she doesn't like Shani. She just reminds her of a mistake. Now, consumed by blind love for his wife, Surya agrees to this, right? So on the appointed day, Shani, the older son, is ignored completely, and all of Sandhya's children are given important tasks by their father, right? All his responsibilities. Notably, Yama is given the title of Dharamraj, right? Since he takes the soul to the other realm after its death, after the body's death, and he's also important in upholding the truth in humanity. Now, although Yama is popularly known as the god of death, he merely appears at the appointed time of death. He doesn't cause the death. He appears at that appointed time so that he can transport the soul to the spiritual realm, right? And present the updated karmic balance sheet, right? The balance sheet of the life that the soul just had. And then, Yama's one of his other responsibilities was to explain to the soul with compassion and righteousness that whatever the good and the bad deeds that soul had done in this lifetime and what it has to do in the next lifetime to kind of make up for that balance, right? So this was one of Yama's main responsibilities. Now, after Surya spoke to all his children, Shani is left standing all alone. Now, as a son and older brother, he feels rightfully humiliated, right, and insulted, unable to break the barriers of communication with his father. Okay, remember the metaphor when we look at the next video. Unable to invoke love from his mother, not able to understand the reason for any of this is happening, unable to express any authority over his younger brothers and sisters, and unable to prove the capabilities that he has, that he believes he has, right? So he just gets really disturbed and anger bubbles up inside him. So enraged, he turns to Sandhya and, demands that she comes out with the truth. Now, shocked at witnessing the scene, Surya confronts Sandhya and Shani and demands that, they explain what's going on. So now Sandhya is, she's up against a corner, so now she has to. So she confesses how she had replaced herself with a clone and all the events that transpired after that happened, right? So now hearing the entire story, the sun god or Surya is livid with rage and he glows brighter and hotter than ever before, right? He accepts Shani as his legitimate older son and makes amends by bestowing upon him the honor of a place in the solar system, which none of the other kids have. Yama, none of them have it. Now, Shani is installed as a planet that will govern karma, okay, and dharma in a horoscope. So that's earlier it was Yama who was Dharmaraj, but now it's Shani. As a karmic guru, the harshest teacher, Shani ensures that you learn your lessons and pass your tests, okay, so that you can rise higher up in the karmic ladder, right? Like his brother Yama, Shani also ensures that dharma is upheld and the soul learns from its lessons. However, the difference between what Shani and Yama they both do is that Shani does all these activities when the person is alive, and Yama does the same thing after a person's death. He explains it to the soul. So that's the story about how Saturn came into existence and how his childhood and everything that happened, right? Now that you know the story, in the next video I will talk about the Saturn return. The reason I want to talk about Saturn return in the next video is it makes sense to flow from here into that, because whatever happens to a person during their Saturn return is very, very similar to what happened to Shani during his, when Sandhya came back and everything that he went through. So it's important to talk about Saturn return, right? And then the last video we'll talk about psychology. What does all this mean, right? Why is this happening to each person when there are Saturn transits in their charts? So I think you're going to find it really interesting. So the next video we'll talk about that. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe right below here. There should be a link right after this video. So go ahead and subscribe, and I hope you come back next week for the next installment in the Saturn series. You will totally enjoy it, I promise. Thank you.